The Black Panther is in the DorkLair. Welcome to another DorkLair action figure review. Today I'm taking a look at the Mezco 112 Collective Black Panther. Just out in February of 2019, about a year after it went up for pre-order, right around the time the movie initially was released. And so it's been quite a wait. It's been almost a year. But I gotta say, I'm very happy with the figure so far. I think it's gonna fit in nicely with the few other MCU figures that they've done. Thor, Spider-Man. They've also done Hulk, but don't have that one yet. And I'm really liking the direction that their MCU figures are going. I know that they're not gonna be complete. They're not gonna hit every movie. But for the most part, I feel like they're really kind of kicking butt on the MCU figures. Really nicely done. This one is no exception. I'm very excited to have it. So let's take a look. I'll also be taking a look at this 3D printed Wakanda throne that I picked up off of Etsy. Getting a look at the packaging, Black Panther comes in a standard size Mezco box with nicely detailed movie graphics, logo on the side, pictures of the figure and accessories on the back, another logo on this side. Very standard Mezco packaging. Getting into the details on this guy, I think Black Panther works really well for the Mezco style, where you have plastic head, hands, feet, and then a fabric bodysuit to pretty much cut off any seams that you might have with the articulation. So I think this is well suited for this kind of approach to the figure. The material itself, to me, is very similar to the Punisher figure in that it's kind of like a rubbery material. If you take a look at both of them, you'll see the weave is different, like the actual texture of it is a little bit different. But for the most part, it has the same kind of shine and feel to it. So that's the closest comparison, I feel. I do think I kind of like the texture of the Black Panther a little bit better, but this is one of my favorite materials. I really like it a lot. I think it works perfectly for these figures. Starting at the top, taking a look at the head sculpt, you can see that there's quite a few different colors and textures going on there. So you've got like a muted black for kind of like the majority of the face of the helmet. I can't remember if this is the actual like sort of almost nanotech one or if this was a helmet, but I'm just going to call it a helmet for the sake of just having a word to use. But you can tell that there's a shinier textured black weaved throughout that kind of matches the weave of the uniform, even though the whole head is one solid plastic piece. And then you have some nice silver accents throughout, and the eyes are silver as well. And I think the paint is very clean. It's nicely done. I like the shape of it. Very cat-like, just like it is in the movie. Very nice head sculpt. And then it transitions down to the neck that's covered in fabric, and it's kind of interesting when we get to the articulation. I'll talk a little bit about how the neck is under this cowl almost, and this cowl has some movement to it. And then attached to that cowl, which is a separate piece, you can see if I move this here, it's a separate piece. So you have the teeth of the necklace that wraps around, nicely colored. And I kind of was worried because I saw a picture from an event a while back, and it showed this thing floating really high, but in my opinion it rests pretty flat. It depends on where you move the head around, because you could make it rise up if you do it like that. Like if you tilt the neck back, it kind of creates a gap, but if you position it right, it'll be nice and smooth. So it actually blends in nicely. I was hoping it would be attached to the suit, but it works. I think it works pretty well. Coming down into the rest of the body, you can see there are lines that run throughout in addition to the weave pattern that's on there. So it gives it a little bit more kind of dynamic look to it. And you have, as you get down to the waist, sewn into the clothes, or I don't know, like applied, glued on or whatever, are these little plastic pieces. And you can see they have a few little cuts and angles on there, painted in that nice silver color. Same material running down the legs. And then you get into plastic sculpted calf parts and the plastic sculpted feet all with nice details. And I think they did well to, it might not be a perfect color match, but the texture looks like it transitions well. And then he's got claws on his feet. Bottom of the feet even have some sculpting on there. And then finally the arms have the same kind of situation as the legs, where from the elbow down you have a plastic piece, and then the sculpted hands, which look nice. In my opinion, this is a beautiful figure. I think that this works perfectly for this character. I just think that Mezco has this fabric game down, and it's working really well on this particular figure. Bringing in a few size comparisons, here he is next to a couple comic book characters. On the right, you have the Mezco 112 Collective regular release Captain America and the Special Ops Punisher on the left. And then here he is next to a couple MCU figures. On the left, you have the Mezco 112 Collective Ragnarok Thor, and on the right, you have the Spider-Man Homecoming Mezco that was an exclusive on the website. Getting into the accessories, as you can see, he comes already with the regular head and then these two fists on. He comes with a pair of relaxed hands in just two slightly different poses. This one's got like sort of two fingers up, and then this one's just regular. And then he comes with two gripping hands to hold his two weapons. Probably the best way to do the shield is in two pieces. It's got a loop that goes around the arm, and then it's got a loop that he can grip with his hand. But it's probably easiest to just take the hand right off while it's on there, like this, and then slide this off, because it's kind of tricky to do. So taking a look at the shield, it's really nicely done. It has a real like fur sort of look to it. It's very nice, very cleanly painted, looks really good. Mine, maybe I'm manhandling my stuff because I had the same issue with the Thor figure, but mine comes off here. I don't know if it's supposed to, but I don't know if like maybe some glue. Take a look here. Hang on. You can see it's out of the peg, and then you just got to peg it. It pegs right back in. I actually kind of like it. It makes it easier to get that hand grip in there. And the other weapon is this short little spear that he has. And you can see the detailed paint on there. A little feather coming off the end. And he comes with this second head sculpt, the unmasked T'Challa head, with a pretty good likeness. Not perfect. I think it might be a little thick in the cheeks, like a little chubby in the cheeks, but I think the colors are good. The eyes are glossy. The hair looks nice. Nice, cleanly painted. I think overall it's a pretty good looking Chadwick Boseman head. And finally, it comes with the Mezco stand. It's got the Black Panther movie logo, and it, as always, comes with the flight stand, which is just a great option to have a stand come with each figure. Added value. I think it's a really nice touch. And before we get into the articulation, I'm going to take a look at this other piece. This is an accessory that I bought separately. This is a 3D printed and then hand finished throne from Etsy user named Terecook, Terecook, all one word if you want to look her up. And it's pretty nice. It was $40, which I'm not sure if I would pay that again. It's decent, but it just feels like there's not a lot of paint on it. There's paint here on these, and then there's like, I don't know if these are applied stickers or almost seems like grip tape or something, but it doesn't feel like paint. These are sort of stickers or something. There's some silver paint around this side, and there's some little tchotchkes added on, and one of mine actually fell off. Actually, this one's about to come off too. I can feel it's like loose and turning, but this thing came off. It's almost like a little coin or something that's on there, but that fell off, so I gotta glue that back on. For $40, I don't know, that's borderline, but like, I don't really know that I'm gonna find a throne like this for less than that anywhere. So if you do want a throne for your T'Challa, I think that this is probably one of the better options. Or you could maybe look for a higher end one and spend more. So, you know, it's good. I might see if I can weather it a little bit, maybe paint it up a little bit more. But in general, like, he fits on there nice. His feet are almost perfectly flat on the ground, just slightly lifted up. I think if I play around with it a little more, I'll be able to get it right. It's got a couple nice little details on it, but it just feels like it just looks a little cheap. But the size is right, fits good, and it was $40. It wasn't some crazy hundreds or anything like that. So, I'm fairly happy with it. I think maybe I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but if you really want to throw in, it might be your only option as far as I know. There might be some others out there, but for $40, it's hard to find one. Finally, for articulation, Black Panther can look up this far. And I want to talk a little bit about the neck piece. So as you see it, it kind of lifted up like that. So there's actually neck articulation below it. It's not like a Batman figure, but you are going to run into some issues where certain poses it's going to be lifted up and off. So you got to be kind of aware of that, and it might look a little weird on your shelf or whatever. But and there is a little side to side motion at the base of the neck as well. So basically most of the articulation you're going to want to use is at the top of the neck, and it can rock around this much and up this far and down this far. The arms actually have a little bit of butterfly, more so than the usual Mezco figure, so I'm happy to see that being added a little bit more in there. The arm can lift up this far, which is quite nice for a Mezco figure especially. It can rotate. It would be able to rotate around if it weren't for the way the suit is, but you can come around this far. The bicep does have a swivel up there, and then the elbows are double jointed, and you can come in this far with it, so pretty nice in my opinion there. And the wrists have a ball and hinge, and so there's quite a bit of range of motion there. He can rock his wrist down this far and up that far, so pretty nice for doing the claw move. In his upper torso, he can crunch down this far and crunch back that far, and then there's lower torso crunch a little bit and backwards a little bit. So when you combine those, you get a decent amount of crunch. Nothing spectacular, but pretty good to get into some slightly crouching poses. And then he does rotate as well in the torso. Pretty good. Probably the one place where I find it to be the most limited, because this is a cat type figure that would want to be crouching, is right here. So he can really only kick up that far. You can maybe mess around with a little bit, get a little bit of a higher kick, but when you're doing that, you're starting to kick out to the side too. So, it's not amazing at that point. It's probably the weakest point of articulation, because I would like him to be able to crouch just a little bit more, but the knees have a lot of bend to them because they're double jointed, and then you can kind of combine that with some of that torso articulation, and he can get, a little bit crouching, not too bad. There's a swivel at the top of the thigh, swivels around really well, and the suit moves nicely, and it seems to bounce back pretty well. And then like I said, the knees are double jointed, and there's no swivel here at the boot cut, but there's ankle articulation. Can go up this far and back that far. Can rock side to side. There's no toe articulation or anything like that. So yeah, you can get it into some pretty neat poses. This is a figure that has a pretty high production run. I think it's in the 9,000s. So usually when that happens, a figure can last in stock for quite some time. So hopefully this will be like that. And, if you're kind of looking for it and trying to find it on a budget, you might be able to find it for 70, maybe even like $60 if you're really patient on something like this. So great figure. I highly recommend it. And make sure you check out some of my other videos, like my review of the SH Figuarts Obi-Wan Kenobi from Revenge of the Sith. And until next time, may the Force be with you. DorkLair!